Hey guys, so this is just a little added bonus. Hi Kira. Um, on the actual live recording of episode 20, when I had our special guest Crystal, I unfortunately forgot to put in the audio. So for all the intro to the episode was pretty much a silent film. So this is me just throwing in the intro to the beginning of the episode, and then it will jump back to where the audio starts on the actual original episode, and then obviously it goes from there. So, ready? Alright. Hey guys! Welcome to episode 20 of Be Cool. If you do not know me, my name is l.shima, and I'm a full-time model. And this episode, we have special guest Crystal. Yay! Round of applause. She will eventually be where Akira is sitting. But right now, Akira is playing Crystal. So, alright, guys, and let's begin. Yeah, there you go. Oh my god, I would have lasted the whole entire hour that...
Oh, they were like shouting over there. Sorry.
One of the other special guests, I completely forgot to push this record button on Ustream, so it did not record it for me to post it on YouTube. So it went the entire hour until I finally realized, fuck, I didn't record it. But thankfully, Periscope you can save the recording that you did.
Oh, and then you can like put it
and
on
then
there.
Post it. And it was still shitty quality, but realistically, I was so thankful that happened. So okay, sorry guys on Ustream. Periscope, I obviously was not recording audio was not on Ustream. So, Ustream, I feel like y'all already know the beginning spiel, so I'm just gonna skip that. The recording might be changed, so, yeah, well, whatever. It's anyways. So, okay, sorry. Can you repeat what you do for a living? I'm so sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, that's totally okay. So, yeah, I have 2 part-time jobs. I sew and design on the side, and then math tutor.
So with math, you said that you go as high up as calculus.
Yeah, calculus I kind of stopped. Like, I don't even think I really touched that. That was like one time with my sister.
So was it something that with math, is that something that you actually like love to the point where you will actually tutor somebody in it?
No, I don't know, let me see. Like, I've just always been just good at it.
Yeah.
So it's always like, you know how you're just like good at something, so it's kind of fun?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that, but when I get higher up in it, it gets annoying.
So I would question about calculus with you, but I know nothing about it. I don't even know. I
probably know like 2 things, so that's
a lot more than I could even. I don't even know what the definition of calculus. But one of the things with your sewing, because I do sewing on the side here and there, not as anything in comparison to what you do. Holy shit! I'm gonna probably try to pick your brain as best as I can, either on this episode or in just real life. Mm-hmm. But with sewing, you definitely need to understand algebra, correct?
Yeah, I remember I was sewing with one of my friends one day, and I was like, I'm just gonna make a circle skirt. Mm. So she was completely oblivious to the fact that there's math involved.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, do you know the circumference of a circle? And she's like, what? We're sewing. And I'm like, no, you literally you have to take your measurements, divide them by 6.28, and then that's your circle top.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be kind of the same thing down at the bottom. So she stopped, and then I just ended up finishing her skirt.
You're such a good friend.
Just because it's there's 2 factors in there. Mm-hmm.
See, and I remember growing up, I thought I would be this awesome fashion designer, all this other stuff. Wasn't still figuring out, I still don't know what I'm doing with my life other than modeling.
Same.
And so I thought these random ideas, I even have a sewing machine, I have a mannequin, I have all these set up for a legit, somewhat legit sewing situation in my studio. Mm-hmm. But especially growing up in high school, I failed algebra twice. And when it came down to cosine and sin and all this other shit, I'm like, yeah, no, I can't comprehend any of that in my mind. Especially, and this is what my brain kind of gets confused. I meant geometry. Geometry is important for our sewing, correct? Because you have all the shapes and everything like that. Yeah. I definitely appreciate your math skills, and I envy to the point, too, because I'm horrible at math. I still have to count with my fingers when it comes to multiplication.
Oh, I still do that, too.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Thank you. I don't feel as bad anymore.
Yeah, because I feel the older we get, our brain gets all jumbled, so I'm wait, 1, 2, oh, okay, there we go. And I, need them all together.
So, are you originally from Detroit?
Yeah.
Where in Detroit?
Which way... Oh, crap. Because my grandfather lived on Iroquois.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I think it was down that way.
Jefferson's right there, so Iroquois goes down that way.
Okay, yeah.
Like by Mac, farther down. So near
further
Mac
down.
area.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? And so you grew up in that area, or?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
really?
I started off like just until I was like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And then we moved over to like Old Redford or like, which is still technically Detroit, but
Yes.
it's like, you know, right on the outskirts of Detroit and Redford. Then when my mom had my sister, my younger sister, we moved to Redford, and I stayed out there until I moved out last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where do you kind of stay in?
I'm over in Midtown, right behind the DIA.
Right behind the DIA.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wait, hold on. So you're right near CCS.
Yep.
I'm always in that because Francis works at CCS actually.
Yeah, I like always walk my dog up there.
Yeah.
And, like we go play in the park around.
So how do you like Midtown, especially now that Detroit's turning to how it is?
I
Really?
love it. It's I like the idea of if I do finally decide to put pants on, I can go do something. But if I don't, like if I want to stay in my house, like I have a really nice view of the Renaissance Center.
Oh, really?
So if I just want to like sit in my living room, have a book, read, like I have all these options and things going on for me, and I really like Midtown.
See, and that's when we looked for properties here, because we are renting actually, but we looked obviously in downtown and Midtown, and especially Midtown was very nice because of the idea of how close it is to CCS, but realistically also some of the housing there is really nice. We looked at Woodbridge as well,
Yeah,
and
Woodbridge
then
is nice.
Indian Village. We knew about Grosse Pointe, but that's like more for the bougie, like
Yeah, because I
kind
was
of
thinking of
people.
Grosse Pointe, but I saw one house out there, and they just talked to me yeah, I might not get this house,
Yeah.
but just make me think I could get this house. Like they just kind of blew through the whole thing. Was like, okay, yeah, this is that, this is that, this is that.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Well, and that's crazy because one of the things, being not from Detroit or even in Michigan in general, but coming here and then especially like Alter, on the one side, the Detroit side of Alter, you can get a house for like $6,000, like outright buy, but then cross the street to Grosse Pointe and you will like that's literally a mortgage type of price on that Grosse Pointe house.
That's kind of like around me. It's because since I'm right on the other side of the freeway, like on this side of the freeway closest to the DIA. Excuse me, there's like a lot of nicer properties or like probably $200 more expensive like month by month than mine. And then you just cross the freeway to mine, and I live near a whole bunch of vacant houses.
Yeah.
But it's like just that one quick step change that Detroit always has. It's like you can cross the street and you're somewhere else.
So in the sense that you've been here for all your life, how do you... what's your thoughts on how Detroit has become versus where it was at not too long ago?
I just think no one's ever really known what to do with it.
Yeah.
Like we put all of our money, like my dad always has this saying, like, you know, don't put all of your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what Detroit was founded on.
Of course.
We put everything into the automotive industry and now look. So, like, I understand why, like, a lot of people who come from the outside, they don't understand how we got to where we were. They just see, like, you know, the vacant houses, a lot of people below the poverty line. They just see this. But we're just a city of people putting everything into things that didn't last.
Yeah.
So now we're all kind of coming back from it. So where we are today, I'm really happy because even though it's not like the most ideal place, I just know where it was like when my grandpa was down there, and it's a lot safer. There's a lot more to do. It's a lot more touristy.
Yep.
So I'm kind of watching, and I'm really liking where things are going.
Now, as far as what you do for a living, because you mentioned that you have 2 jobs, you do styling and designing as well as math tutoring.
Yeah.
When it comes to the art side of the things that you do, how does living in Detroit help or benefit or even possibly hurt the artistic side of your life?
It benefits because I like Detroit because a majority of people here are creative.
Yes.
So, like, I walk down the street and I see someone painting or I see someone singing. I'm like, okay, I gotta do something. Like, they're doing all this stuff. I gotta get up and do something. So it kind of has that, piggyback feel of I need to go home and better myself. But then it also hurts, I guess, in a way because you get stuck in this, everyone's kind of doing the same thing. So it's kind of, you have to find your individuality quick.
Yes.
Because once, like, you just see everyone doing it. Like, I've had moments where I'll go on Instagram and someone's like, oh, I'm making clothes now. And I'm like, okay, there it goes. What's so special about me?
Of
so I've had
course.
to reevaluate my brand, what I do, who I am, and just really figure out myself, and then that's really helped me stay true to what I do.
See, and I completely agree in the sense where, me living in Austin, where that entire city was pretty much born and raised in, like, the artistic side. Like, it's still pretty... Now it's getting a little bit more with the artistic side plus the tech side of everything.
Yeah.
That's what Austin is becoming. But realistically, it was always down to that, the artistic side. Coming to Detroit, where the arts is starting to grow and being part of that is amazing. It's inspiring to see all these Detroiters being able to create these interesting and unique things. And the reason, like, my theory, and especially when it comes to real estate and property and everything along those lines, is usually the artists come to the poorer cities because they're the ones that can afford it. Like, they have $5 a month rent. The artists are the ones that are going to live in that little slum. And so they're the ones that make an area awesome. So in regards to, like, Midtown, I'm sure, I don't know, you'd have to, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Midtown and downtown back, 15 years ago wasn't really anything awesome other than maybe going to the Tiger Stadium, right when it was created. But now, downtown and Midtown and even Corktown, for even a primer example.
Yeah, Corktown 10 years ago, no one, I think, ever really wanted to go. Yeah, that was never like, oh, let's go to Corktown kind of thing. It was always just downtown. Then the kind of suburbs around and all these different... New York has boroughs, but we can have boroughs.
Yeah.
Of Detroit kind of opened up, and they have their own special thing that they didn't have
of course.
Years ago.
And it's insane to that sense that, artists can come, reestablish and fix up a certain area, and then the more middle-class, family-oriented, people come in and be like, oh, this actually neighborhood is really nice, because,
exactly.
it's already cleaned up because certain artists did it, pretty much. That's awesome, and then in a sense that you have, because you have so much pride for Detroit, and I've noticed a lot of people that are from Detroit have a lot of pride for their own city.
Yeah.
Coming from Texas and even Austin, people from Texans have so much pride for their entire state, but Detroiters have a pride for their city itself.
Yeah, it's like solely the city. I when I first went off to school, I lived in Grand Rapids for 2 years, and I found myself defending the city way more often than I wanted to, because I would just go to class, and I remember this one girl made this statement about, like, she tried to just, like, juxtapose, like, violence in Detroit, like, oh, I'm just gonna go out, I'm gonna get shot, and I'm like, okay, like, it's really not even, like, if you go to Chicago, if you go to Washington, D.C., if you go to Miami, every major city has violence because it's a high population place, so obviously your lines are going to be bigger. And I just found myself a lot of times correcting people on the state of Detroit, and then I'm like, oh crap, like, I'm really a Detroiter now. Like, I just am just talking about it like it's nobody's business.
I don't know if I can fully be accepted as a Detroiter yet, because I've only been here for a little bit more than a year. Like, to me, I feel like you have to live somewhere to be, like, for at least for 5 years to somewhat be accepted
makes sense.
But I to the point where I did an episode about Detroit when I first started this season, just to kind of give everybody outside of Detroit a little, my point of view from the city. And I try to get all my special guests that are from Detroit to kind of give their side of the city itself, because what I've seen is completely different than what I was raised up into believing. I didn't know shit about Detroit when I grew up until I met a friend that actually lived here and such, and then I met my boyfriend, and everything came along to the point where, everyone was, outside of Detroit was so worried about violence and crime and, all this crazy shit and all the torn down houses and everything along those lines. It took me into coming here and living here for a few months to realize this is actually, and granted though I came at a different time than 10 years ago,
but even then
still,
people are still saying those things.
Exactly.
And it's like, you're fine. Yeah, you'll be fine.
And I know of a few people from, like, Ferndale and Warren and along those lines, they won't even cross 8 Mile because of the fact that once they cross that one street, they're in Detroit. Nope, that's not happening. If their favorite restaurant is across the street, they will be, nope, I guess that's not my favorite anymore. We're going to have to find somewhere else. I don't mean to kind of get off track as far as, who you are versus what Detroit is, but with designing, did you ever go to school for it, or is that something that came naturally to you, like similar to math?
Yeah, I actually dropped out of school to do it. In
a
weird way.
Kanye over here with designing.
Yeah, I actually, weirdly, I was going to school for psychology and women and gender studies to be like a marriage counselor and a sex therapist.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that was like super interesting, but just the whole spiel of school was just making my brain hurt, and all this structure and everyone just kind of moving, doing the same thing. I was like, I gotta get out of here. So that's when I moved out of Grand Rapids and back to Detroit, and then I got my own place. And I've just kind of, if I need to learn something new, I just kind of try to teach myself. Like I have Barnes and Noble's books just of random sewing, like anything from just, hey, how to sew a straight line, all the way to couture gowns. Like I feel like you never really stop learning something new about anything. So I have a whole bunch of books. I just go on YouTube. I just kind of snowball myself into learning what I can.
So what made you pick designing over, woodworking or some other random craft such as those?
I've always loved clothes. Like, it actually all started, like, I had, like, in college, since I was so... College just made me depressed. Like, it was just way too much. Like, I was like, ugh. So I put probably really badly, my depression into shopping. So I found myself spending money. I maxed out my credit card.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and, like, I had all these people calling me, and I'm just, like, sitting in a corner in debt, like, what the hell? And I'm like, but I still want to shop. So I had my old sewing machine that my mom gave me. So I remember my friends and I were going to a party, and I didn't have a top to wear, but I had, like, these old dresses, and I was like, I'm just going to make a top out of it. Like, F it, I'm just going to make a top. So I just cut it up, made the top, and then I got to this party, and everyone's like, oh my god, I really like your top. I'm like, oh, I made it. And then it just all kind of, I just was like, okay, well, let's see what else I can do. And then it all kind of, it came more naturally than other things. Yeah. So that's how that one came about.
Well, what was the timeline based on, you realizing you're in so much credit card debt and then that party and then coming to now? What was the time frame between, that block of space from, learning and then starting? Did you actually do it?
Like a year and a half.
Really? So that's rapid. So did you put a lot of dedication towards it? Like every day you would start sewing and learning and everything like that?
Yeah, I kind of ended up, when my credit was still savable, I got another credit card, and I bought all my sewing stuff with that credit card, and I was like, well, shit, now you're $500 more in debt, so if you don't do it, how are you going to pay it off? So, I bought my mannequin, I have my sewing machines, I bought my fabric, I bought all these books, and I just started doing it.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of how I kept it going. I was like, let's try to pay off this credit card. Let's make it worth it.
Yeah, of course. It's a business that you're trying to create from the ground up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I started, to try to get the ball rolling, I did vintage wear. So, one of my emails that I have not figured out how to change the name from was actually Esoteric Vintage. And that's how I did a whole bunch of stuff, like through Instagram. I had a separate page for it, which is now just my Crystal Robinson designs. But I started doing that, and I would buy and modify vintage wear and sell it. And then I just tried to make my own boutique. But I give kudos to anyone who can do a boutique, because that was way too much stuff.
I can only imagine.
And, you have shipping, order processing, website, and I was doing it all by myself, and I was still semi in college. And I was like, yeah, no. And then that's when I was like, okay, because I was trying to do those to fuel my designing. And then I was like, let's just design the whole thing.
Yeah,
let's
of course.
just do the whole thing design.
See, and that's one thing I like about the arts in a sense is, you said you had a credit card for $500. You maxed that out, just buy all of your supplies and such. And the amazing part, as a person who I'm actually really scared of credit cards, I did not ever want a debit card. I remember being in economics class in high school, and the teacher literally put on a movie that there's people committing suicide.
The Michael Moore one?
I'm not really sure, but
I remember watching that too.
It was pretty scary for a teenager to watch people actually committing suicide and having all of this issues. So I'm like, yeah, no, this is not gonna be me. I'm not gonna get a credit card. I'm not gonna get a debit card.
I said that for a while, but then as crappy as my credit got, I kind of was like, okay, Crystal, you are not your credit score. You are still a person. So, and it's kind of disciplined me. It's given me that my dad lies, but he spoiled me shitless.
No, of course.
So, the credit card and me putting myself in that situation was bittersweet because, it hurt and it pretty much put me in a shithole, but it kind of dove me into the water and forced me like, hey, you know, now it's time to start being an adult. Like, let's kind of get our finances in order and kind of learn how to budget. You know, what can we get? What do we need? And kind of those things.
Of course, and it's nice in the idea that with being an artist and supplying for the things that is your job, realistically, $500 is a shit ton of money. But then in relation to actually going to a school and paying tuition and all the other little added expenditures that you need to pay for college, is $500 is nothing in comparison to that. See, exactly, and it's the fact that you're also paying for something that you are hopefully going to keep establishing as you progress and everything like that. It's not something that you're gonna throw back. This didn't work. All right.
Yeah. Especially if I'm putting 4 to 5 years into something, I'm just gonna stick with it.
Yes, and so when it came down to figuring out, you already went to college for the therapy and everything like that. Counseling, right? Counseling and sex therapy?
Yeah.
Marriage counseling and sex therapy. Mm-hmm. And then you figured that wasn't really the thing as far as what you want to mentally do with your life. So you came down to the designing and styling and such. So when it came to creating this business/brand of yours, how did you put yourself out there, especially in Detroit itself?
Instagram.
Really? Okay.
I have to probably give 60% of my own, pubbing of myself to Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I would just, I remember a year ago, I would post, hey, I made a shirt, you'd have 20 people that's cool. And now I'm like, hey, I made, a pantsuit, and there's, almost 200 people hey, that's great. And I'm like, okay, it's it moves exponentially,
mm-hmm.
and I just have to give that all to Instagram and people who follow me and word of mouth. And I have a lot of great people that, either admire me or are friends with me who also kind of put my name out there as well. So it kind of all just snowballs and goes out.
Well, and you're very super fucking talented. Don't mind my cussing and such. But that's why I wanted you as a special guest, because I appreciated the work that you've done and everything, and I thought it was very inspiring. Especially, again, like I said, I've been very interested in fashion designing for myself, because with modeling, it would also help assist that. And I would love to get more in deep with other things that you have done. But I kind of want to not ignore people. Sorry, Periscope, I have not looked at y'all. So if you have any questions right now, feel free to ask on Periscope. Ustream, first, a lot of them are telling me that the chat is not audio. So give me a second. No audio. I know. And then there's a joke between Ustreamers and Periscope. Ustream, sometimes they have ads and such. So there's a joke where they might switch to Periscope and all this other random stuff. Mm-hmm. So you might see them talking about that. Hi, Alejandro. And then Kyle says, I've been here for 12 plus years. I still don't feel it yet. I follow Elise Ready to Stare, has a site for designs, and I love her stuff. I've never heard of her, but I definitely will check her out, Kyle. Again, sorry if somebody said anything in Periscope. I mentally have not been giving you attention. So if you have any questions on Periscope, feel free to ask. It'll be very helpful if you see me look in your direction, and that's when you know that I'm more approachable as far as questions and being able to see. So as far as, okay, hold on. Let me just, I haven't looked down at my notes yet. So with Instagram, a lot of the photos that you have taken are usually more selfies showcasing the outfits that you've made. Yeah. Was that a plan, a purpose, a plan that you actually made to actually have you wearing the clothes, or is it something that it was easier to have yourself take a selfie of it than having somebody else wear it?
I operate in 2 steps, really. When it's fresh off of, when you see me take a selfie in it, I love it, but I probably, the pantsuit that I made, those striped pants, put it on, took a picture in it, looks great, but then, I'm like, okay, I'm going to redo the zipper, I'm going to redo this, and then I'm going to really make it perfect. So it's kind of first step, I do that, see the reaction from it, and then it helps me pick when I do my bigger photo shoots, which ones I'm going to do, what looks I'm going to go for, what seems to go over well. So I kind of do both to kind of help when I finally do put my money, time, and energy into a bigger shoot. just helps me lay it out a lot easier.
So when you put on the wardrobe pieces that you've created, a lot of it looks like it's fitting to your size.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your general purpose, is to have, your size be what the actual clothes can fit, or are you making like a standard fashion size for models that you can purposely have on photo shoots and such?
I make it for me first because I like to test it out on my body,
Mm-hmm.
and then if it goes over well, I like to kind of be a walking billboard for it. But I do have one standard size mannequin that's a size 6, and then I have another adjustable mannequin that goes from a size 4 to a size 8.
Okay.
So once I kind of get the whole me approval on it, then I make more on either mannequin.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it just is easier for me to have it, and then if I want to go out, I can wear it,
Mm-hmm.
and then kind of also get orders from that, or kind of like show it off that way.
Oh, that's actually a really great idea. And so based on that, you've gotten a good amount of orders of other random individuals coming to you and having like an outfit made by you. That's amazing.
It was so hard in the beginning. I remember my first big order. I was still in college. Our dance team, they were like, what were they, Rhythm and Blue or something? But they were like, hey, we have 10 girls, and we want you to make our capes. We already have the design. Like, we'll go to the fabric store with you, get the materials. We just want you to make them. So I'm like, perfect. I can make a cape. Like, this is great.
Yeah.
Because all my other orders have been, like, my aunt wanting, like, a scarf or something.
Mm-hmm.
So this was, like, my first major one. So she had the design. We went to the fabric store, got everything together. I told her I was going to aim for said date, but the date you need it by, I'll most definitely have it ready by that date. The date I said was, if I get everything perfect. She was like, cool, that's fine. So that date came around. I had half the capes done, but I just wanted to perfect them. And she's like, well, we want them all today. I'm like, oh, well, I don't feel comfortable giving them to you yet, so I can give you 2 that are finished, but I would probably, like, if you were to take more, I definitely want them back, because I don't want anything to go wrong. Like, I'd much rather give them to you perfect.
Yeah, of course.
And so then I gave her the 2. Mind you, they were her design. Like, I had no creative input. I just was a powerhouse. It was just creating it. She was like, oh, well, my teammates don't like the capes. So, mind you, this was $200 worth of work. And she's like, so we're not paying you.
Oh,
I'm
my
like,
God.
I made 10 fucking capes. I skipped classes to make these fucking capes, and you're just not gonna pay me at all. And I'm like, well, at least pay for the 2 that you got. She's like, oh, I'll just give them back. We don't want them at all. And that part, that situation there, set me back a lot, because I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do now? But it in turn made me create contracts, just kind of get more professional, and kind of when I set a bigger, like a stricter foundation, people kind of took me more seriously.
Of course.
That situation kicked me back, but it made my orders that have happened since then much better.
Yeah, especially with having contracts, that's one of the highest things that you can possibly do, because I've had a lot of times where with traveling and being, a traveling model, there has been photographers that they will say they'll pay me a certain amount, or they'll, book this day and this time, and they either disappear on the face of the earth, they skimp out on the amount of change, all this other stuff. And especially with traveling, that's one of the biggest issues, because I'm going to a city that I have nobody that I know of to fall back on. So and especially a lot of the income that I would be getting from these paid shoots are instantly going to gas and hotel fees and food and along those lines. So when I don't, miss out on something along those lines, it fucks up the entire trip. And so when I finally was able to put a contract together, that was like the best thing. The only thing, and have you ever, and this is the kind of question I wanted to ask, with contracts, especially, how you mentioned once you got more serious in the side of the business of your, for your brand, people took you more seriously. But have you ever gotten sent out a contract to a potential interest, and they respond basically saying, oh, this is not going to happen because of whatever your guidelines are with the contract?
I kind of got it where I did that, didn't hear from them, saw them somewhere out, and they pretty much along the lines told me, who the fuck do you think you are?
Really?
They're pretty much saying, I'm not as big as I think I am, or why would I think I need contracts? And I'm like, honey, it's not even that serious.
Yes,
like,
it's not.
You could just say no.
Yeah, of course.
Like, a lot of people don't think, like, if they say, oh, you know, all you have to do is say, oh, I'm sorry, you know, I'll decline. Cool. I move on about my life. I take my dog on a walk, and I make a pizza. But, like, if for her saying, like, who the fuck do you think you are? Like, oh, I'm Krista Robinson. I'm a seamstress, and I have contracts.
Yes.
You know, that's just the way it works. Because when you find that people don't have contracts or things, it just makes stuff so much harder.
It does.
Word of mouth is never good. Word of mouth is never good.
It is. To a certain extent. Sometimes it is good. But when it comes down to the actual business side, word of mouth is not good. Yeah, some people do love the drama, and their egos go perfectly with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've gotten a lot of photographers, especially with traveling, like I would make a 50% deposit with paid shoots, especially when I'm traveling. When it requires me to go outside of a 30-minute drive.
Too.
Really?
I require 50% deposit.
See, you have to, because of the sense that usually if they cancel within 24 hours of the actual scheduled date, then I will, give the full refund, as long as it's before the 24 hours. If it's after that, then I'm sorry. I take it all because you wasted all my time on this. And so usually, though, especially when I first started, give or take a couple years or so, there would be a certain amount of photographers that would be a fucking contract, a deposit. Why do I pay you a deposit?
Photographers have contracts?
Yes, a lot of them do have contracts, especially, most of them actually handle model releases. That's especially if it's a paid photo shoot. A lot of them come to me with more model releases to say that they own the rights to the photos. And, especially when it's paid. When it's more of a trade situation, obviously that's something that needs to be discussed between the model and the photographer and whoever else might be involved. But usually they handle a lot of model releases. Now, if I'm a model paying a photographer, I would hope that they would give me a contract, because that just, again, makes it more seem professional. But yeah, and that kind of shows the unprofessional sleazeballs, drama queens that freak out about a contract and a deposit. A lot of these photographers would tell me, why do I need to give you a deposit? I'm paying you in full when you get here. I don't care. I need to make sure that you're legit. You're actually going to show up. They can countlessly tell me, oh, I'm going to show up. I'm going to even be an hour early. I don't care. I still need the deposit to make sure. Exactly. You could disappear and, literally leave me hanging and all this other stuff. It's for my safety to know that this shoot's actually going to happen. And I get it, too, because there's been times you can't trust anyone. Nobody you can trust.
I mean, it's a sad way to go through life, but you really can't.
Yeah, and so you might be a photographer or a client of some kind, and you give a certain artist a certain deposit. I honestly will think that, if I gave an artist a deposit, I would hope that this artist was also professional to the point where they're going to do what I'm paying them the deposit to do. So the photographer, I get it, if the photographer is worried about a deposit, they might think, oh, well, this model is just going to steal the 50% and then leave me hanging. And I get that, but that means they've worked with sleazy people in the long run.
Yeah, because especially with modeling, I tried my hand at modeling. I don't really call myself modeling because I feel like, just some people call themselves something and it's almost doing a disservice to the people that actually do it. Because there's so many, realms of modeling that I've discovered. There's vixen modeling, there's actual print modeling. Yes. I considered myself more of a muse. Someone would have an idea or just, a quick thing that they wanted to do on print, and then I'd go ahead and go about and do that, but by no means am I a model. But even with just doing news work, I've come across so many sleazy male photographers. I have no problem doing nude modeling. I have my nude modeling on my Instagram, but that's a big, we have to go through a whole lot for me to do that. My last one that I did was with my best friend. And I'll just have people who just right off the bat say, boom, all right, we're going to go to this garage. I want you naked, and I'm like, what, what's your theme here? Really grungy, this type of thing. And I'm like, okay, can I see your work? And it's just pretty much taken right off the camera. Some girl just nude laying like this. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to say no. Just hit me up maybe when we get a more concise theme. But I feel not all photographers are like this, but I've just come across, especially just as a female with this, a lot of people who kind of use that camera to just kind of get you topless. Yes. And even if that's not their case, just the fact that seems to be what they're going for, it just creeps me out. I'm like,
Crystal, I would want to tell you that as a human that will say I am a model, I love the fact that you use Muse, actually. That's a really good one. As a person that says I am a model full-time and everything, I mean, I did my intro, even though Ustream couldn't hear me, I had my intro saying I'm a full-time model. I completely, more the fact that you just pretty much described my beginning of my career, as well as some still happening to this day after doing this for 5-6 years. I don't even want to say that number. But yeah, there's fucking some crazy psychopaths in the nicest terms. Some of them are not that crazy, but realistically...
Some of them don't even know they're cheesy. They're just...
They don't.
Everyone has their own journey, and they're just at the beginning. But in the beginning of your journey, no, I'm not going to pose nude for you.
Yeah, and I respect that choice of you that you made. I have photos that you can instantly find just by a quick little Google search. You'll find horrible, horrible photos of me, especially in the nude. I think nudity is not anything to look down upon, but
Indeed.
And it's curious. It's interesting when I meet an individual that thinks nudity is just horrible. I mean, in respect, a lot of religious people feel that same way, and
Right.
there's a couple of individuals that I am around quite often, without giving names or titles or anything. But I still respect them, but in the sense that I'm like, well, that's not kind of how I feel about the situation. But with modeling, I enjoy everything about it, and with nudity, that's how I started my career. Even with glamour as well, that's kind of falls along the same aspect as a lot of times, especially when it's a paid photographer. They are more sleazier than none. Not in the mean... Like, I've worked with a lot of photographers that paid, and a lot of them are such super sweethearts and, people that, I would never bash in a million years. Their work might not be good, but I would never say bad things about it. And I would never, call them out. The only time I would seriously call out an individual out is if they, literally went on hell on fire on me for some weird reason, and that never happens. Even if they were a bad photographer, personally to myself, I still wouldn't name drop unless somebody came to me and asked me personally how this one photographer was. I'll be like, this is my experience with them, but I'm not gonna go socially and say this photographer.
I'll see photographers kind of just go, just ram each other, and I'm like, now, do you think this is looking good for business?
Yes.
But I will say, behind closed doors, if someone were to came with me, hey, have you shot with blah, 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 I'm not going to tell them, hey, I don't think that's a good idea.
Yes.
Because that's me protecting someone I care about. But, yeah, I completely agree with you. It just looks bad when you're always just on social media talking about someone.
And it's crazy. And again, I respect people to a certain extent when it comes to their job. But an example... I mean, there's one photographer I know in Detroit that's notorious for gossiping and just drama. But the biggest thing is a lot of models do it to the point where I had to unfortunately unfollow a lot of them because I just couldn't handle that negativity on the social media. I try my hardest to promote positivity on my brand and such. The only time I might say negative things is on my episodes because that's more giving everyone an insight of my life and especially my special guests and what their lives or stuff. A lot more personal, and it only takes a certain human being like all of y'all on Ustream and all of y'all on Periscope to actually sit and listen to an hour's worth of me possibly talking negative. But realistically, I try my hardest not to do that. But when I see that in a lot of artists, not even photographers and models, but just any artists in general.
Yeah, any creative, it's when it's photographers against photographers, models against models, designers against designers, blah 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 blah. We all have our own little egos and our own things that we do, but it's just the choice on if we, not gonna lie, I'll sit at home and just be on Instagram shit sucks, what the fuck? But, that's me in my own personal life. I'm human, that's kind of what I do. Yeah, but I feel like, you have to maintain that level of professionalism and just not take your own personal, what you do at home discussions out. Because whether you like it or not, you may be doing Instagram inside of your house, but you're putting it out into everyone else's. So it's kind of just like having a public conversation as well.
Now, with since you've dabbled in being a muse, aka technically in my view being a model, is that something that you were interested in, or is that something that just fell in your lap?
I'll say I was interested in it briefly. I kind of got into it, and I have little stubby legs. I'm 5'2". I tried runway. But, I kind of do this thing where since I have short legs, longer legs can take stride. I'm kind of
Yeah,
all
we're
right,
we're little crabs.
Yeah, yeah, little crabs. So then I was like, okay, no more runway. Then I would do print, and as much as I do love print, I just fell in love with more of the behind the scenes, like putting the clothes on the model, picking themes out more. So whereas I'll still do it, just the behind the scenes attaches onto me so much more.
Really?
So it kind of, for a second, I was like, oh, this is really cool, I could do this. But then I'm like, nah, I'll leave that to someone else.
Yeah, well, it's because as a person that's in front of the camera, I very appreciate the ones that are behind, especially like photographers and stylists, makeup artists and hairstylists. Y'all do so much to make me look gorgeous and whoever else look gorgeous, and then the photographers, their day is not technically over after the photo or during the photo shoot. It keeps going on until the photos are released to wherever they're end up going.
Yeah.
And so, and same with styling. Y'all have the whole preparation way prior to the actual shoot starting, and then making sure it's still organized while the shoot is going on. And then usually with makeup artists, hairstylists, and models and stylists, usually this our job is technically done after the photo shoot is complete. We just have a waiting process until the photos are released, and then we use the photos to help promote and push the imagery that was created.
Yeah, you guys are like your own billboards.
Yeah, so it's more stuff that is we realistically have more of quote unquote break time in comparison to photographers and such. But realistically, we're all working just as hard in a sense. But I give so much credit to everyone involved. And what bugs me the most, and I don't know how many models or even anyone else that you've been involved with when it comes to styling, but I really dislike when I go on social media and certain individuals do not properly credit other individuals that
happens to me
happen.
All the goddamn
Seriously.
time. It has been such a problem where I state if I'm going to a shoot and these designs were made by me, people will still just post me as, oh, stylist Chris Robinson. I'm like, I did not put 20 hours worth of work into those pants for me to just be the stylist for them. So then I'll have to DM, just say, hey, a lot of people assume that I'm coming at it negatively, but I'm pretty sure, if I didn't tag them in it, they'd be equally as disappointed. And just say, hey, I'm a designer, not a stylist, trust me, I'll let you know if the situation's different. If people give me money to just go out and purchase the clothes, then I'm a stylist. Mm-hmm. But if you're using my designs or come to me for a design, I am a designer.
Yes.
It's a line there, but just, it means a lot, especially with people just growing up and kind of crawling up the ladder there, that little just saying I'm a designer really helps you get your foot in the door where you are.
Because it credits you in the, for technically your resume and life and such.
Right. Instagram is literally kind of my resume.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. And it's a sense that, too, when they credit you, the idea where people can see that and, be like, oh, well, I need a design for this. They can come to the... Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And when, because there's certain moments where random people or even photographers tend to forget to credit me. Sometimes when it's a photo that I do not like of me, I'll be like, it's fine, don't credit me. I do not need that photo around of me whatsoever.
Same,
but when it's something that they post, especially when, because honestly, it's come down to the point where, social media numbers matter. You have a shit ton of followers, that's fucking awesome. I'm not going to technically use you, but I'm going to use you in a sense where it would be nice to see, have that many followers that you have, get an idea of who I am. Those followers can choose to follow me or not, but that choice for them to acknowledge who I am, just in case I might need a designer or they just love my shit, is always nice. But when they don't credit, and it's crazy because I had one photographer, and it was a paid photographer, so realistically, overall I'm not too butthurt, but deep down inside I'm like, it's fucking still shady. He would complain that he would shoot with a certain model and she would post a photo of his work, that they did together, and she would not credit him. And he would, went on this, whole ramble of that happening. And I totally agreed. I'm like, yes, that's fucking horrible. What does he do? He does the exact same thing towards models. He does not credit them whatsoever.
Yeah, it's like you gotta give to get. This is a two-way street.
Exactly.
I feel like, people on the outside just kind of, it's like what you said, everyone at a shoot has such an important role. Like, if you lose one person, that could be kind of detrimental to everyone's thing, The hairstylist makes the makeup artist look good, the
Mhm.
photographer look good, and the model look good, and the person that's
Yes.
that makes the clothes. So everyone's role kind of just plays off of everyone. So if you take away that one piece or just don't credit that one piece, it's like a missing puzzle to what made something beautiful.
Oh, the life of creatives. All right, hold on. I'm just seeing. Okay, there's that one. All right, what time are we in? All right. We've been here long enough. I think I've tortured y'all for a good amount. We're not done yet, Crystal. I'm sorry. I felt like I was like rambling to the point where it seemed like we were about to be done. But I told you, Crystal, that there was a special delicacy in this random aluminum bin. I don't even know what to call it. Tin bowl.
Yeah.
So everyone in the Be Cool, y'all may or may not understand what's about to happen, but every time I get a special guest to physically be next to me, so to the point where I can touch you, I've had this new little, I don't know what to call this right now, thing.
Segment?
Yeah! It's like kind of more perfect than thing. That I've done where I try to find the most weirdest thing for me and a special guest to try. So cool. I've already told you, like, there was one guest we tried a Swedish candy. It tasted like shit. I have that, so if you want to taste that before you leave, you're fine. Yes. There was maple water. Have you heard of Vegemite before?
I've heard of it.
Yes.
But I have no idea.
Don't. I mean, you can if you really want to, but it tastes like weird soy sauce. So yes, this is a delicacy that I found randomly today. I think this one is not going to be as bad as the other ones. I'm honestly hoping and waiting for one special guest to be like, oh my god, I love this shit. That hasn't happened. So I'm hoping maybe this one you'll be like, oh my god, I want to go and buy this every single second.
I hope so too.
Alright, y'all ready?
I hope so.
Alright, ready guys? So what's this? It's called Paid. No, I'm just kidding. So this is chocolate cheese.
Okay.
Have you had it before?
No, but it's not something new.
Yeah.
I guess.
So I've never heard. Okay, let's see if there you go. Chocolate cheese. I've never seen this before in my entire life. I went to a store in Birmingham and got this, and I love chocolate. Some cheeses I like. Are you lactose intolerant or anything?
Not at all.
Do you appreciate chocolate in a sense?
I do.
Okay. So hopefully this will not be disgusting. So I'm going to basically open it and cut you a piece.
I'm kind of excited to. I feel like I might enjoy chocolate cheese.
See, and I'm very curious to it.
Yeah, like chocolate bacon.
I've never had that before,
Delicious.
But really, because it's like almost like bacon pancakes, but I've never had that either.
It's really good.
See, but I'm confused. I haven't tasted this. I'm opening as we speak. I'm curious on the texture because it almost feels like soft brownie.
That's what it looked like.
I don't know.
Brownie.
I don't know if it's gonna be like creamy, if it's gonna be like sour. Like I don't.
Yeah, you know those cosmic brownie things, like with the little sprinkles on top.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it'll have that consistency.
Like the Little Debbie, but not the Little Debbie. I don't know if the Little Debbie makes those. All right. So first, I'm gonna let you sniff it just to see what this thing smells like. It looks like just a pile of turd, honestly.
Yeah.
But
it smells like chocolate.
It smells like chocolate, like almost like with a. There's a certain cheese that smells like that, but I have no like.
It's like a nutty.
Yeah.
Like a nuttiness to it.
All right, so I won't give you a lot. If you need to not indulge in it, you can spit it out immediately in the bowl.
Okay.
So I'm gonna try to not give you. And if you love this, then you can eat as much as you want.
Cool.
But my hands are clean. Just
okay. That's fine.
I make sure that, okay, give me a second. I get myself a thicker piece, but hopefully I will love it and I will not mind. All right, so I love doing these segments. I love the segment call because it shows our weird reaction to something. So, all right, ready?
Yeah.
Go.
So not bad.
It's almost like a chocolate cheesecake.
Yeah.
But, like, not. It's actually not that bad.
Yeah, I like this.
Yeah, okay. Well, if you're one, I don't know where, if any other stores, but, you know Birmingham, obviously, off Woodward. There's, I don't remember. Wait, it would be on here. Papa Joe's Market on Birmingham. It's on the right-hand side if you're going north on Woodward. It's like, you can't miss, it's like, you'll see a Batteries and Bulbs Plus on the right, and then you'll see like a shish kebab spot, and then there's like a restaurant that we went to that has like yellow as their main decor. first of all, that restaurant was delicious, but we went inside the market today, and this is where I got it. So if you love that, then that's where you can find
I
this.
recommend this.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's literally like a chocolate cake.
Mm-hmm.
Like, thank fucking God I finally found something that I can actually enjoy.
Yeah.
Because I have a jar of Vegemite in my pantry I'm never going to fucking eat. I have a bag of Swedish candies I'm never going to fucking eat. I have pickled plums in my refrigerator I'm not going to eat. So I keep, like, adding all of these things to my kitchen that I'm never going to touch again.
Never going to use. You come back a year later like, why did I? Oh, yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, chocolate cheese, not too bad. I'm sure it depends on who makes it, but I literally taste like cheesecake. Chocolate cheesecake.
Yeah.
All right, let's figure out, on Ustream. Let's see what's weird. All right, Tackman, l.shima, does she have a man? Do you have a man, Crystal?
I don't.
Ooh, are you looking for a man?
No.
Oh, really?
No.
Is there a reason for that?
Jeez. I have, okay, my ex and I were together for 3 years, and he's just kind of always been around. And
like y'all hang out with the same crew and stuff, or
no?
just...
It's like we're both creatives,
Mm-hmm.
so we go to the same events. We associate with the same people. You know, sometimes people even try to get us to do things together, and then I have to tell them like, oh, you know, like we have history, and they're like, oh, my bad. I'm like, yeah. So we go through that all the time, and so that's just annoying there. And then I have like no free time to give people, so I'm actually kind of talking to someone now who equally has no free time. So
you'll share the same interests.
Yes,
no
of not being near each other. So it's like during the week we know that's kind of like when we're super busy. Then like the weekends we usually see each other. I'll go spend the night. Like we'll go get a pizza. Blah blah blah. And then that's that. So that's what I'm calling me being in a situation. A weekend situation right now, and it works. I'm okay.
Yeah, as long as it works for you and you feel totally happy.
Yeah,
I give you an applaud on that because some people can't even get that. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. The one says she's not single. Yeah, sorry, she's not single.
Situationship, exactly.
Oh, look, now you have a term for it. Oh, Derek, you come with the terminology.
That's exactly.
Let's see. Max L. Ask Crystal if her designs are inspired by pop culture or original ideas.
Ooh, good question. It's a mixture of both. I don't draw.
Oh, you don't?
No, I can't draw at all.
Oh, really?
I
don't know why I didn't even think of that question. Really?
Yeah, I can't draw. So a lot of people ask to see my designs, and I'm like, I don't have anything. Like, literally, I want to say 35% of the time, I'll wake up, and I'll have a dream about something, and I'm like, oh, okay, I have to make that. And then I just start cutting it out. And then sometimes halfway through, I'm like, oh, this sucks. So then I just kind of mold it into something else. So a lot of my designs did not start out that way. Like I have this skirt. It was originally like pants that I made last year, and it has a waistband with the hips out, and then they're flowy down to the bottom. I think I've seen
that on your Instagram. They're like red or something.
Yeah, they're like a burnt
kind
of color, completely by accident.
Huh.
I made the waistband way too small, so then I put it on. I'm like, this actually is kind of cute. So then I just finished it off, and a lot of people, like, that was kind of one of my original designs there. And that's how that one happened. Or I'll go on Pinterest, I'll see something that I want to recreate and put my own twist on it. So, yeah, it's kind of both pop culture and original. It just kind of all depends on either if I woke up with it or if I saw it on TV.
So, with you not doing designs or sketching or anything along those lines, how do you create the patterns? Do you create patterns at all, or you just throw fabric on a mannequin and then just figure it out?
Sometimes I create patterns.
Okay.
If I create a pattern, it's just from clothes that I've deconstructed.
Really? Okay.
So I'll buy old t-shirts. Usually I'll just buy old t-shirts, rip the seams out of them, and then kind of cut them up and make them into a pattern that I want, and then trace from there. Or I just, place it on my mannequin and kind of get going. Like the pants that I made, that I kind of just was going, and the skirt similar to that, I just kind of put it on and saw where things went.
Because that's interesting for me, because me trying to get into designing and such, I've really wanted to understand pattern making. I'm not, like I said in the beginning, I'm not good at math. I, failed algebra. I failed geometry. Like, I literally failed all the math courses I could possibly take at a standard level. And so pattern making is like geometry just throwing up on you because you have to create something 2D into something 3D and having it fit. Yeah, and you have to have it fit properly and not have like the arms too constricting, but this not too wide. Like, there's so much little things involved. And I even bought a printmaking book, and I literally sat there and followed it word by word and just could not figure the fuck out.
See, that's how I am. Even sometimes still with patterns, I get so frustrated. I'm just like, oh, okay, I'm just not even going to look at this anymore. And I just kind of go off of what I know. Like, I'm still teaching myself stuff. Like, I still learned, like, I just learned about elastic thread. I usually, whenever I sew my knits, I'll find that in the armholes or in the places where there is either a lot of seam allowance or, more of heavy duty where, a lot of movement, it'll still feel tight or won't have enough movement. And I was just watching, a YouTuber that I watched, and she was talking about elastic thread, and I'm like, oh my god, thread that moves with you. And it's like, I was on the phone with my friend, and I'm trying to explain to her, like, how great elastic thread is, and she's like, cool, I have no fucking clue what that is, but I'm so happy you're happy. And I, went and bought, 5 spools of it, and that little thing is just, it just changed everything. And then when I discovered darts,
oh, really?
That really made my, playing around with seaming, princess seams and darts. Then that's when I got more to couture construction. It was one thing to make a skirt or a little crop top, but then once I learned those things, it got into couture construction, and I produced a lot more beautiful things. And I was like, wow, this is actually pretty good.
Yeah, and that's one thing with me again attempting to do design. But I like you mentioned, you would just buy books on books on books and Barnes Nobles of sewing, and just open the book and start learning that way. I have literally a whole, well, not that much, but at least 20 old school sewing books, because sewing is a thing that's happened for decades and decades and decades, and it's something that no matter what you're doing is not technically out of style, because how to sew a seam is all going to be the same as it was 50, 100 years ago. So I love the old school books in a sense where it's kind of vintage in that sense, but also they still teach you things that will still make sense to today's life. There are things like that have changed, and things along those lines that I've figured out while I was reading, but overall they're just so interesting to have. So it's fascinating that that's the technique that you've used with patterns, and also not being able to, or not sketching your designs. Is that something that you just choose to not do a sketch, or is that just something that scares you, or
a mixture of I can't sketch, it's kind of scary, it gets time consuming, and I get frustrated with myself. So I'm just I'm just gonna make it because I know I can. When I tried sketching, I just ended up sketching nude women. That came naturally to me. I've learned how to master a boob. I can draw the shit out of a boob, but I cannot put draw a bra on the boob. And so I'm just okay, I'm just gonna go off my own mind. Eventually, when I was thinking about trying out for Project Runway this year, they asked for sketches and or your designs, and then when I applied to school, they asked for sketches. When I was thinking about it. So it's something that I'm pretty sure I'll have to tackle eventually. But for right now, I'm just let me just get my construction down and let that speak for itself. Because usually you can get by with, if you have bomb-ass clothes, then they won't really too much worry about the sketches. So,
well, if you're on Project Runway, I will be so happy because I love that show, honestly.
I watched that, it's nobody.
So, okay, speaking of Project Runway, though, watching it, in my mind, I'm I could never fucking do that. I would be so fucking stressed the entire time. I would be I just can't do this right now. So you think you could be able to handle the time frame that you're given?
Yeah, I think I'd actually prefer it.
Really?
In a weird way. Just kind of, because right now the only thing that goes against me is life. Either my dog's whining and he wants to go outside, so I take him outside, then he decides he wants to go on a walk. Someone calls me and says, hey, can you take my shift? My dad either is going to be late at work and he needs me to pick up my brother. So, not saying those things are necessarily bad, but giving myself the opportunity to eliminate those things and just solely focus on sewing would, in a stressful, lack of sleep kind of way, be better for me. Because it just kind of would let me be the powerhouse that I know I want to be.
Oh, that's awesome. actually put it in that sense. Now I'm thinking about it, but I don't think I could ever do run a runway. Let's see. Kyle, okay, so a lot of these are also going to be, like, response to something that we talked about 30 minutes ago, so just bear with me. I'm trying to remember where they're talking about. Kyle, yeah, like I said last week, even though I've seen your body in all its glory, I'm numb to nude at this point, especially since I follow a ton of sex workers and cam models.
Yeah, you can desensitize yourself if you want.
Exactly,
You know?
and so what because I follow a lot of, like, nude Tumblrs, and technically Instagram doesn't allow nudes, but, like, there'll be, like, a half-naked girl, kind of, or, like, implied and stuff. But I'll be, like, on social media on my phone, and, like, I'm waiting in line for something, and I get so, like, awkward, like, not awkward, but, like, I can always feel like somebody's behind me looking.
Me on Tumblr. My entire Tumblr, like, I can't really publicly, well, I mean, I still publicly get on Tumblr, but it's such a Russian roulette. Like, one minute I could be looking at, like, you know, a scenic view of a road, and then the next thing it could be someone just like going straight down on their boyfriend. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna keep going.
Well, the worst is to me when I have to go to coffee shops with this bad boy, and I'm like, I have to
on there.
Yep, and I have to get on Tumblr for, like, to post stuff and to follow my social media and stuff. I have to get on Twitter. I have to get on all these social media, and I'm like, please, when I open this site, please don't have some fucking, like, porno right immediately.
Please don't be porn. Oh, great. Okay, cool. Everything, we're good. Like, you can see.
There's times when, like, that's happened and there's kids behind me. I'm like, yep, nope, can't.
Right, yeah.
Just
sorry.
So, like, me, nudity is completely fine. But to others, it's just, like, blows their mind that you're looking at a naked girl, you're definitely a lesbian, or you're definitely, like,
yeah. You know, when I was drawing the sketches of nude women, that question actually came across, like, do you like girls? I'm like, I think they're fucking awesome, but I mean, that doesn't mean that I'm sexually attracted to girls. Like, I have everything that I am drawing. So don't you think it'd be easy for me to convey that on paper? Like, people have such kind of, what I found is, like, a small mind, like, track mind when it comes to nudity. Like, they assume, like, what you enjoy looking at is what you also enjoy in real life. Yeah. But no, I find so much beauty in, like, nude modeling when done correctly that I could look at it all day.
So with nude modeling, sorry, okay. So you get to appreciate nude photography more once you've seen it enough, of course. Sorry, Periscope, I'm trying not to ignore you. It's just really fast. But with...
I'm actually going to take this one off.
You're totally fine. With nudity, was there a moment in your life when you realized I'm totally fine with that? Or is it just something that just naturally came to you ever since you popped out and everything like that?
No, I was always really, really reserved. And it probably didn't happen until I turned, like, 19, 20, because I'm only 21.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Oh, damn. Yay, I got to finally meet somebody younger than me. I'm always the baby in every situation. Oh, my God,
that's
I'm
me all the time. Like, my birthday's in a month, I'll finally actually be 21.
Oh, you're not 21 yet?
Yeah, like,
well, shit.
I have, like, 3 weeks. But when I turned, like, 19, 20, that's when I kind of first started, because before then, you know, if my, like, nipple accidentally showed out of my shirt, I'd be like, oh, I have to go home. I've shown everything. And now, like, at my job, you know, we have a lot of revealing clothes or implied, like, you know, nipples. Like, I'll be at work with a sheer top, no bra, and, like, your total is $12.96. There you go. And it just kind of came as, like, maturity with realizing, what's the difference between my nipples and someone else's nipples? And, you know, when I do nude modeling, like, I can produce something really beautiful. What's wrong with that?
Exactly.
So, like, when I posted that photo, where if you literally can see my nipples, I got such mixed reactions. I got half DMs of, hey, you know, show more tits, blah, blah, blah. And then I got half of, that was a really beautiful image. And, you know, you just kind of don't focus about that side. And then once I saw just how beautiful it was, it made me a lot more comfortable towards it. Now, I just kind of don't mind.
See, and that's kind of how I feel as far as nudity goes. Like, when I first started, I think I started to choose to do nudes because it was just fascinating. I'm honestly still
liberating.
Yes, exactly. And I tell everyone, especially on my episodes, my real Shima self, I love clothes. Like I love being surrounded. I love being hugged with clothes. Like this is comfortable to me, honestly, minus the bra. But this is literally comfortable for me. But when I go into photo shoots, being nude is completely fine. It's something that I won't freak out about.
Yes,
And yeah, it is all about having an open mind. And so I don't like it's basically having like two different versions of myself, one being completely liberated with being nude, the other one being more conservative. You know what I'm talking about. I can't think of the word right now. But with being fully clothed, and something about just being part of the nude scene was very awesome to me. But then after a while, and constantly doing that, every single photo shoot, every photographer would want to shoot nudes, and I would be totally fine with it. But after a while, it just kind of got dead to me. Like I still appreciate nudity, but it's just something that I'm not really interested as much anymore. Especially when it comes down to my modeling and such. But I always feel like why I started and how I started with my modeling actually was perfect for the way I want to go, because getting into more fashion photography, if a nipple slips, I'm not going to be afraid about it. Like, it happened. Hey, it's a boob. All right, let's cover it up if we don't want it.
Yeah.
Or, make it implied if it needs to be. Yeah. Like, I know a lot of models that never started with nudes and never have done it before, and they're a lot more reserved when it comes to doing bikinis and
during
fashions.
shows. I'll do fittings, and I'll be like, okay, get naked. And they're like, oh, okay. And I'm like, oh, honey, do you know how many nipples and vaginas I've seen? Like, yours is no different. Like, just get naked.
Exactly.
And they'll still be like, oh, okay, well, I'll go to the bathroom. And then sometimes my designs might be a little bit more risque. I might have a full zip down, or it might just be straight up, these are covered. And, I'll just come across people like, you're totally fine, like, to have your own boundaries. But I'll just find people who are just like, oh, no. I don't do that. And I'm like, oh, well, no, you can't wear that. Like, you gotta be at least somewhat comfortable, because, one day my design might be in a full turtleneck dress, cool. And then the next day you might be in a skirt with some pasties, I don't know.
Yeah, of course.
It's just, like I said, it all depends on what I wake up with. So I keep a lot of models around with me that I know are comfortable with me, because, comfortability helps.
Of course.
But, that's kind of one of those things that I find is easier with models that have no problem with me.
Of course. Because when something slips, hey, just run with it and make it work. Hey, a boob was part of this design. I mean, come on now.
Go right ahead. Yeah, I had a velvet gown with a thigh slit up to about here, and then a deep V up to here.
Fucking sounds sexy.
Oh, it was so fucking sexy, and the model rocked it. Like, I think her nipple fell out on stage, but she still, turned, did her whole thing, and I was like, thank you so much. Because she could have gotten scared and been like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But that just would have been awkward.
And it ruins the moment, too, when they realize something like that has happened. It's almost similar to, like, a runway, they slip and fall. If you have confidence of realizing that you just busted your face,
and you go.
You just keep going. I mean, if you're going to keep falling, just make it look like that was the scene and that was supposed to happen.
Roll, do a boat, like, fall out, have a whole show about it.
Let's see. I'm gonna because there's a couple questions I want to ask you, and I don't want to take too much of your time, but let's see. Okay, Techman, if I said I wanted to do a Napoleonic style tunic, could she do something that serious?
I just need like an actual picture, or just more of a concise.
So when you see something, you should be able to
when I see it, then I can like see the seams, I can see the obliques, I can see all that stuff. But a lot of times when people say it to me, like, everyone has their own idea of things. So someone might tell me, oh, I want a V-neck tunic, and my idea of a tunic might be to your knees, and your idea of a tunic might be a little bit past your butt. So it's usually when I see things, I get a better visual.
Now, are you good with terminology when it comes to sewing and such, like invisible zipper, but then you have all those other random little terms that even coming down to like the actual fabric material and such?
Yeah. Fabric has been something I've quickly learned, just because, not all fabric can be made for everything. So sometimes in my free time, I spend just a lot of time just circling around the fabric store and just kind of picking up different things, different types of zippers, different types of threads, needles, seams. It's something where if you don't know it, you're not gonna grow. So I always try to make sure I learn something new, because like when I discovered princess seams, then I could make a much more beautiful top.
Yes.
So I just try to kind of keep that going.
And is it something with the fabric? Say somebody says, I want a wool dress. Do you know exactly how that texture feels and how that will work with movement and such?
Yeah, I need to feel. I don't understand how people can, unless if you know exactly what fabric you need. I find it hard buying fabric online because it's something about when I go to the fabric store and I feel it like, when I was in Texas, I was with my sister and we went to the fabric store and she's like, oh, this could this could be cute. And I'm like, you gotta feel the stretch, you gotta feel the fabric, you gotta go know where the grain is, all this stuff. So it's a lot more to it. So I need to be able to touch it.
Yeah.
And then I can tell the difference.
Feel it, see it, visualize
it's so sensual when I'm there. It's
right?
Like, there we go.
Then eventually just...
Yeah. You know, the fabric store is like, yeah, she knows what she's doing. Like, yep.
They're not going to question you at all. They're just like, you do your thing.
Just doing it. Exactly.
Let's see. Kyle, teach girls bravery, not perfection. Exactly.
Yeah.
Alejandro, I think the issue some people have that nudity is equaling sex. I completely agree to that point that there's individuals that think that way. I unfortunately wish that was not the case, but it's something that happens in life.
Yeah, because even when I started posting nude, I got different, you get half and half reviews, but you get those people who start following you, cam girls XXL, but then you also get other really great photographers. So a lot of times I just ignore those people.
Well, and usually, especially what happened with my social media, especially when I did nudity and glamour, I would definitely, no offense, but I would definitely hit up all of those XXX porn little, social media sites because they had a huge amount of followers. So again, like, I'm not using you, but I'm using you but I would, contact them and be like, hey, this is my stuff. If you want to post it, feel free to do so. And they'll do it. And I got a certain amount of followers that saw that and were like, oh yeah, she's so fucking sexy with big tits, all this other stuff. But then, I would grab their attention, but then I would start posting, like, fashion stuff or, like, a little preview into my life, and you'd get the ones where I don't give a fuck about this shit. Like, I just want to see your tits.
Right, post your boobs.
That's cool, but, I want to do, me
There's
posting.
Another side.
There's another side, and that's the fact that I like the most is when I can get those certain individuals that get me or they follow me because of my tits or whatever else, but then they stay because they've realized my personality or my
you can actually turn someone around and realize, hey, there's more to her than there is her boobs.
And then there's some that will never accept that. And you're like, well, fuck off.
That's just you. Enjoy.
Let's see. And Kyle, I really want a Pop-Tart. That was very random, Kyle, but I actually want a brown sugar Pop-Tart now that you got me mind on Pop-Tarts.
S'mores.
Really? I've never had s'mores before. Now, with s'mores, would you have it? And Kyle, what's y'all's favorite Pop-Tart, actually? Let me ask that. But with s'mores, would you heat that up or eat it raw?
Heat it up.
Really?
I have eaten it raw, but it's so much better because then it's like an actual s'more.
Yeah, something you get like roasted and toasted and stuff. See, with brown sugar, I actually like it raw because it tastes like a snickerdoodle cookie almost.
It's got that cookie feel.
Yeah. All right. Before I keep rambling on for 5 hours, now that it seems like it's gonna come down to that.
Oh, someone likes strawberry and raw.
Strawberry. Oh, strawberry was my go-to growing up. Like my sister would always want strawberry Pop-Tarts. Strawberry and like cherry. It was one of the other red ones. Let's see, but sometimes heat it up. Yes, I feel like strawberry is always good heated up.
Yeah.
Maple sugar is pretty good, man.
It's a classic.
It is a classic. All right, let's do these two. One of this is a little bit more. I'm very curious.
Yeah.
So again, if it makes you uncomfortable, feel free to not answer it. But I feel like you posted it, so you should feel fine. I'm gonna do a quote, and then let's see if you can explain to me what your thought process was behind all of this. Because I've seen you post something similar to the same topic before. Quote unquote, I masturbate whenever I can. Hashtag how my spare time is spent.
I figured it was going to be that one. So when I was in school and trying to pursue sex therapy, that was one of like when I would talk to people or just kind of do my research papers on, it was a lot of just with masturbation. My vibrator recently broke, so that hasn't been a theme, but it's kind of just one of those things that I feel like if you don't love you, who can love you? And if you don't know you, how can you expect someone else to know you? So it's kind of one of those intimate things. I mean, unless if you're asexual, if that's something you really don't feel like doing, by all means don't. However, I feel like it's something everyone should do all the time. No.
It was just something so random that I came across in your. There's all these styling selfies, all of a sudden, then like fucking Tyler the Creator and like a little quote. I'm like, whoa, that's random, but that's fucking awesome at the same time.
Yeah, it's just kind of one of those things. Like my friends call me like, oh, I'm so stressed today. I'm like, did you masturbate today?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, and I'm like, there you go.
See, and the crazy part in my mind is that there are human beings that do not do that. Like, especially even, like, I mean, I'm sure even religious people do it, but deep down inside they will not, like...
They won't acknowledge
yeah.
it. It's one thing to say it, and it's one thing to just kind of close the door.
Exactly. But it's crazy to me that that's something that a lot of people probably wouldn't do or have never tried. Like, I've heard countless stories of people like, I've never done that before.
Yeah, actually, after I posted that, I got a DM from this one girl, like, that was so risky of you. And I'm like, people do it. And she's like, no, I really commend you saying that and just kind of making things like that comfortable. Yeah. Because, whereas it's not something we need to talk about all the time, I guess, but it's something that, happens. People do it. Like... and I just feel like it makes you feel better, it makes the day go better, and, like I said, I feel like especially as women, a lot of times our needs are kind of put to the back door, like, people finish, and then they're just like, oh, cool, and then it's like, oh, what about me? And then they're like, okay, what do you want? I don't know, and so just get to know that.
So play something, we'll figure it out.
Try it out, like, I've been told that I'm more aggressive now, just because I know exactly what I want. Like, people be like, oh, how's this? I'm like, nope. How's this? Let's try this.
Well, I wouldn't say aggressive. I would feel more like, you know your shit.
Yeah, exactly. I just know what I want. And a lot of people are just like, okay, well, geez.
Now, Kyle says his favorite flavor is cherry, but did you ladies see Lilica's maternity pictures? She's a dog, so cute.
Oh, yes, I did see that. Hold on. Oh, my gosh. I'm going to see if I can find it. It was the cutest
y'all
thing.
Make me seem like I'm not up to date with social media and things and
it was
stories.
Little
and
dog.
topics.
It's like this dog. It was pregnant. Oh, no, wait. Let me see. Maybe I'll just Google.
I love dogs. I dig your hat, by the way, Crystal.
Thanks. It was my grandpa's.
Derek says.
Thanks, Derek.
Oh, that's nice that you get fucking hand-me-downs from fucking, like, your grandpa and shit.
Yeah, he wasn't wearing it. I was like, I'll just take that.
So what kind of dog is this? Is this a mutt? Or is it like a weird looking dog? Is it like, why is it a big deal that this dog is pregnant?
Because her owner had her take maternity pictures.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yes, it was so cute.
Too bad my dog is fixed. I would have totally done that.
I know, yeah.
Damn it.
And I have a boy, so unless he's getting someone else pregnant, but not happening. There they are. They're so...
Oh, my God! Oh, my God.
The last one is my favorite one.
Oh my God, those nipples are so huge.
She just looks so happy to be pregnant.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
This reminds me of my sister and how she takes her dog to go get like Christmas photos and Easter photos. This is just like that.
This is really about to make me cry. This is so cute. Oh, I can't.
I'm so surprised you haven't seen
No,
that.
I don't know where I've been in my life, but obviously nowhere awesome because it's fucking adorable. I need to show Francis as soon as this is done. That's fucking adorable.
And I need to know when she gives birth.
I'm about to literally cry right now. It's so I can't handle these emotions.
Like, I hope it goes smoothly.
Tagman, since we're on this topic, how explorative I can't say that word.
Exploitative.
Yes, thank you very much because I fucking suck at English. Open are you sexually?
To the outside world, like, usually the most I get is just, like, the occasional, hey, I masturbate often type thing. But, I don't do too much with it. But if you are currently the guy I have my weekend going out with pizza things with, then I'm super open with it. I feel like if you can't really be comfortable with someone, then you really can't be with someone. Yeah. So I just always knock a lot of things out of the park, So I always make sure I'm open so that way they feel comfortable telling me if they don't like something I do or if they want me to do something.
Yes, of course.
And vice versa. Because, then it makes, like, when you wake up in the morning, not so...
Yeah.
Like, oh, cool, that was great. I'm going to go to work.
Yeah, and if you didn't like it, you'd be like, okay, well, we didn't like that. Let's try something
move
different.
on. Like, it doesn't mean you suck as an individual.
Yeah.
It just means that, hey, maybe we're not going to do that.
Well, it's the same when it comes to, like, something that could possibly be embarrassing. So, such as, like, I'm trying to think of something random on my top. Let's say queefing, for
That's
example.
exactly what I was
So
thinking
usually a
about.
lot of females get very embarrassed by that situation because, I mean, that's almost just pretty much you're fucking farting but out of your vagina. Like, that's...
Yeah,
it's,
pretty much.
so a lot of, females will try to ignore that just happened. Some will, accept it and just not say anything. And then others will, start laughing and be like, oh, that just happened. Okay, let's move on with,
move
with
forward.
whatever. Which category do you feel is more suited for your personal sex life?
I usually just let it happen.
Yeah, let it happen.
That just means something good's going on.
But do you acknowledge it to your sexual partner, or do you more still not really say anything? You just let it happen, but just
I just let it happen and say anything. They heard it too.
Yeah,
and we know.
we know it happened. We just know that something good happened for that reason.
Yeah, I always find myself being that taking that whole sex therapy thing onto my friends.
Mm-hmm.
They always try to talk to me about these things. My one friend was talking to me for the longest because she's a virgin and she was talking to me about her hymen. And she was like, it's going to pop. It's going to be like this. I'm like,
wait.
You do know.
Hymen?
Yeah.
What is that?
Okay, so it's before you engage in sexual activity, but it can pop.
Oh, it's like the cherry popping.
Yeah.
Oh, it's called hymen?
Yeah. But it's
new.
not even like a lot of people think of it's okay, there it is, and it's just
like a water balloon just pops.
Yeah, there. But no, it's more like if you have this and it's just kind of a little piece of skin over there. So she's just talking to me for 20 minutes about how she's so scared that it's just gonna pop and things are gonna happen. I'm like, no, that's not even how it works. So it's a lot of people, sometimes if I am open with my sexually with that, they think it's gonna be all the cool stuff, but I have a whole bunch of others. I'm also got that sex therapy thing in the back of my mind. So yeah, I'll talk to you for hours on end about orgasms and dicks, but I'll also talk to you about your cervix and stuff. So
see, so the Herman. So this is the last thing, and if you have your last questions, you should do it now or forever hold your peace because I need to let her go. It's getting late already. But okay, so with the Herman, because I didn't know what that was called until now. But I didn't even know what it looked like, but now thinking about it, I remember being a virgin and being scared about, that situation. Because you being a virgin, you're scared about fucking everything. And exactly. And so I remember my first time having sex, nothing happened. There was no blood, there was nothing.
Same here.
But I was told later in life that it was because I started my period and I used tampons before I engaged in sexual intercourse.
Yeah, you probably already, instead of popping it, just moved it or added it to whatever. Because you really can move it from gymnastics if you're a gymnast, horse rider, equestrian,
I think. Yeah, I think that's
the general term. Fingering, anything can really do it. So a lot of people just have the holy grail of, here it comes, coming to move everything and change my life. But no, you probably already changed your life from tampon. So
fucking tampons,
right?
Darn
tampons. So you're fine.
And right, last thing, Techman, Shima doesn't know what a hymen is. My favorite nude model just crushed my word. Get it together. What do you mean I'm crushed my world. I thought you meant word. I'm like, what am I? Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know a lot of things, honestly. I'm learning every time I have special guests. And hymen. Now when you said hymen at first, I'm thinking Heisman, but how does that work?
Close.
That's my white girl showing. Then I'm like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. All right, Crystal. All right, we'll just end it because I have a shit ton of other questions, but I'm just gonna maybe have you as another guest one day soon. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate y'all stopping by. Let's give Crystal a round of applause for doing this for us because she's fucking rad. You broke the he is in a trophy. What, Derek?
Yeah,
I'm so confused. Restate it if you want. Sorry, we're not fully on board with that. Maxell, l.shima is still the best though. Thank you, y'all. I appreciate it. I just have my kooky little ways. All right, so yeah, Crystal, I seriously appreciate it. Honestly, this was fucking rad. Does there any thing you want to share, promote, or even also throw in your Instagram name and everything?
Well, I just now added a Periscope from this. So I'll probably just be doing sewing stuff. No more teaching about hymens and cervix. Maybe. We'll see. But it's just going to be the same as my Instagram, which is just devil in a chiffon dress. So But on Instagram, there's a underscore in between double and in. So just double in a chiffon dress, and you can find me pretty much anywhere.
And follow her on Periscope if you're a Periscope user, and follow her on Instagram, obviously, if you haven't done so already.
Knitting and Hyman Talk. That actually sounds kind of fun.
That actually does sound, well, now that I know what that is, that sounds amazing. I'm sure you'll get certain type of people to
Yeah, and then we can throw wine in there, and then it'll be just great.
Invite me if there's wine involved.
Oh, yes.
But you're technically not 21, so you shouldn't be drinking.
Literally a month today, I'll be officially 21. Officially.
We'll celebrate, definitely. All right, everyone on Periscope, thank y'all for tuning in. Let me close it. And everyone, be cool. Seriously, appreciate it, y'all. Sorry for the audio not working in the beginning. You know me, this shit happens all the fucking time. But all right, guys, see y'all next week, and no special guest next week. It's just me, so get over it. All right, bye, y'all. All right, wait, hold on. Okay, outro.